This video is going to be about the things I have learned and my cutting journey that I have embarked on for 6 solid months, and that ends at the end of this week. It has been quite a journey. I started off at around 225, 227 back in the middle of June. Um, Not looking very pleasant, I would say. Definitely a lot of fat around the middle. That's really where my fat deposit is on my body, just with my genetic predispositions and all that. So I recently got a new job, moved different cities, and was able to have a little bit more control after graduating college. I can have the money to buy the things that I want to eat that I know are healthy, not just constantly using DoorDash or Uber Eats religiously. An addiction I think that is very bad for a lot of college kids. I am by no means exempt from that. But some big things that I wanted to first off discuss was that this was kind of an enhanced cut, so if you will, or kind of an enhanced cut, if you will. I was on GLP-1 semaglutide, which is basically, in a nutshell, Ozempic, which really did help. I have had many cuts before, kind of long-term cuts that were not really sustainable in my fitness journey. Not because of the gym. For me, going to the gym was never a big issue. It's just showing up for yourself each and every day, lifting the weights, doing what you got to do, get in and get out. But, the old saying goes, you cannot out train a bad diet. And that was something that had been a thorn in my side on my fitness journey for quite some time, why I was not seeing the results I wanted to see as fast as I would have wanted. So I figured that we needed to kind of tweak the circumstances a bit. So starting off, the side effects I felt when I first started were, a little bit of nauseousness, so much even just thinking about food just really got me nauseous. And then when that wore off after the first couple of weeks, it was kind of where I had to make myself eat a little bit to get to the calorie amount that I had set for myself on my deficit. And roughly around 2 months in, I lost around about 20 pounds, from about 227 to 207. So that was good. And then it was really just loose dieting kind of right there, not eating just the most absurd crap possible, but really just overly relying on intuitive eating, am I meeting my macros and all that. I could have been eating healthier, but, that's what it nothing we can do about it now. But then around the August point, I kind of saw a little bit of a plateau. I was kind of staying in that 207, 203 kind of range, and I figured, "Why not employ a online fitness trainer?" Which I did, and he was and has been very helpful to kind of help me tweak all the things. We discussed what I had just discussed about how my main problem was, what goes on in the kitchen, what I eat, and all that, rather than just going to the gym and, as they say, lifting the heavy circles. But overall, that really did, those discussions and, having someone hold me accountable has really been helpful. And with the injections that helped, curb the diet and everything, make me feel fuller longer and not constantly make me feel the cravings as bad. Genetically, both sides of the family have rather big appetites, and I unfortunately got both hits of it. So that is something that I'll always have to combat until the end of my days. I have no doubt. But another thing, just once this I got started coaching in August. Once that was done or start up and rolling, I really started seeing it, you know, progress a little bit more. There was less plateaus happening. Um, and then honestly, my goals kind of got shifted with the introduction of a coach. I was kind of ready to call it quits at around like 190, which for me at 6'4", that's kind of, on the skinnier end. But then my coach had said, maybe we could, based upon your physique, what I'm seeing now, the kind of pictures that you had sent me, maybe we could do a little bit more, maybe push it to like, 180, 170. I was like, okay, that's possible. You do certainly have a reputation for, you do have the reputation and authority and credibility to make statements like that. And then, as August and September progressed, there was still, the weight was still coming off just very slowly. Sometimes it was, the big thing was realizing it's not a linear process. You're not gonna see 2 pounds every week, as much as I would have liked to see. Sometimes there were days where I was, seeing half a pound on the scale every time I weighed in the morning, or half a pound up on the scale when I weighed every morning. It just fluctuated, but overall, the weekly average, which is what I paid attention to, or what I was told to pay attention to, eventually started to go down, and around early October, I finally got sub 200, which was a good milestone because I don't remember the last time I was sub 200. I think that was probably, oh god, probably the start of, no, probably like sophomore year of, high school, so it's been quite some time, about 7, 8, 9 years. Um And then that was a good motivator to really keep going, and then we kind of cut down the calories a little bit more, that way we're not plateauing and we're making sure that we can, lose that weight in a timely manner, and it was very good. And then I saw a lot of, falling off the scale. It took me around, I'd say, from around mid-October to mid-November to completely go through the 190s, which is very good. Losing 10 pounds in around 30, 40-ish days is, very reasonable, especially whenever you've already lost around 20 pounds already. And then now with the November being done and December, pulling up, I am kind of in the early to mid 180s. The lowest I've been was a few days ago at around like 181.5. My goal, I know it's not really, I know like it's more about what you see in the mirror and how you feel rather than what you see on the scale, but that was kind of my goal. I think with being realistic, as I was constantly consulting with my fitness coach, the goal eventually became, at least for me and him, was to numerically try to get to, like, the first instance you see of anything sub 180 before the holidays, call it good, which I think is a good goal. I don't wanna be on a cut for, longer than I am now. I'm already the better part of 45 pounds down, definitely have seen some progress in the mirror. The waist is shrinking. I All my pants don't fit anymore. I have to wear an extra tight belt. I still want to keep the pants because when I put on the weight again, with with lean gaining and all that, eventually they'll flow back out. So no point in wasting money on buying a bunch of new clothes when they're probably going to fit decently well as they did before. But on this cut, I really have learned a lot. You really have to learn to dig deep, and sometimes that, the semaglutide wasn't a magic fix. There were still days where I had cravings, and, I will be transparent, days where I succumb to those cravings. Usually on the Friday night when I was exhausted after a week of work, there were definitely DoorDashes made, and I put away a few Papa John's whole pizzas and Domino's whole pizzas. But that was, probably once every other week, so not anything out of the ordinary. It's fine to have a cheat meal every now and then. Um, but it's been very good. I am losing a little bit of strength, or I have lost a little bit of a strength, which is normal at the point that I'm at right now. I'm not really too concerned about that because I know that's a natural thing, just as long as I'm still seeing those effects in the mirror, which I'm happy to say that I have. And then a big thing, kind of my advice is if you ever feel stuck when you're on a deficit or something, or, just on the fitness journey, go look at some old pictures of yourself whenever you feel stuck. Because when I did that, it really just helped me realize how far I've come. I know I'm yapping about anything and everything. M Right now, I just love to yap sometimes. But honestly, it was a relatively good workout split that we had decided. 2 chest days, 2 chest and tricep days, 2 back and bicep days. with shoulders in the mix, and of course 2 leg days. And then a big thing that I been trying to get in is making sure that I'm getting, 7,500 to around 10,000 steps in every day, just to get that overall movement in because I do work at an office job, so there's not a lot of opportunities throughout the day to, be moving other than the 60 to 75 minutes that you spend in the gym. So I'm still working on that, but I'm honestly really excited at the progress that I have made. So that's that. Um, I promise I will get better with these videos. I just love doing a bunch of A-roll videos of me talking about anything and everything. But honestly, to conclude it, the biggest thing I've learned is that when things get difficult, keep moving forward. Um, Take moments to appreciate how far you've come. Definitely document your journey with, progress pictures, filming yourself with all that, to critique your form because, form is big. And then just find a community too. I have found a good gym community that, it's a better atmosphere than some of those chain gyms like Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, Crunch Fitness, and all that. Not to down them, they're good. But this gym that I go to is a lot more higher atmosphere surrounded by a lot of like-minded people. So just honestly changing my environment, changing my eating habits, and then asking for help, getting a coach, making that investment is definitely something that I have learned on this cut that I will continue to move forward. When it's time to start the reverse dieting, I'm anxious to see that because I get to start upping the calories and then eventually go into a nice 4 5 month lean gaining phase and hopefully go from around 180 to 190, 192 at the end of it. Then kind of, take off that little bit of excess fat that everybody knows that you get whenever you bulk, dirty bulk or lean bulk for the summer, then get right back onto the lean gaining phase. So it's been a fun journey and I cannot wait to continue moving forward.